All right. What is it? Today's Wednesday. I'm Laura Kelley with Keller Williams Realty, and today I have the most famous title team, Ryan.Lipsey and Haylie Collier with Ticor Title, and they are here to give you some insight about what's going on in title, how it's affecting today's market as far as real estate is concerned, and also give you some information about what exactly is title and why you need it. So let you guys introduce yourselves.
Oh, hey, Laura. Very, very glad to be here today. I'm Ryan.Lipsey with Ticor Title. Been doing it since 2001.
Yes.
Hey, and I'm Haylie, and I've been working with Ryan for a few years now, and I was actually on the title unit, so I'm here to kind of help go over issues that you can come across on a prelim and how to overcome those and how we help support you and your clients. So thank you for having us on this. We're super excited to be able to give your clients the information they need during a title transaction, because it's a little confusing with everything else going on.
It is, and that's why we have the best title team on our team, if you will, to help with every transaction. So thank you. I know there's been some doozies out there, and you guys are always there to help. So why don't we start with talking about what is title and why do you need a title representative, I guess, on your team?
Well, I mean, title is one of the most pivotal aspects to a transaction in terms of protecting the incoming buyer as it pertains to their bill of health of their title and any, you don't want them inheriting any liens or judgments. Right. And we're lucky on my team, Haylie was on the title desk for about 5 years, and she can go into a little bit more detail as to what, later in the conversation as to some specifics. But overarching, title protects moving backwards. Unlike Geico or Progressive or Allstate, they insure in case something happens, you get into a wreck, a tree falls on your car or something in the future. Title protects backwards in case, so that if there's a mechanic's lien, a judgment, or some other financial or physical burden on the property and the title, that we eradicate that before we close so that the incoming buyer has a healthy bill of title. Isn't that right, Haylie?
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly right. It's really beneficial for both your buyers and your sellers. So your sellers are ensuring, like as the title company, we're ensuring that your sellers, when they're moving on to their new property, they're not going to be carrying on any of their other judgments or liens, any mortgages that they've had on any other their property prior to moving on. And then the buyers coming in are going to be free and clear of any of those liens. So it's any of their mortgages that they encumber on the property, it's just going to be their stuff. So it's clearing a cloud on there. It's making sure that your buyers are coming into the transaction free and clear of any other liens or encumbrances or judgments. So it's required in the state of California in a real estate transaction. You do have to get title insurance. So that's, you'll see the policies on there. The owners, if you're a buyer, you'll get an Alta homeowners policy. So that's, you guys negotiate in your transaction, whether typically the seller pays for those, but you guys always negotiate how those are paid for. And then if there's the buyers getting a loan policy, they'll have to typically pay for the lender's loan policy, because that's ensuring the lender that if the buyer is going to sell their property, that the lender will be paid off and they will be insured that they're going to be paid off. So you'll see two different types of policies on there. So it's important for your buyers to recognize those and kind of your sellers to know how they're being split, how they're being paid for, and what they really are. So those are the two main policies that you pay for on the transaction that you see.
So basically, it's important to pull a title report on a property when you go to sell it, basically so that you know if there's any liens, any past judgments, what have you. What type of liens have you seen that you can kind of speak of, if you will?
Well, that's exactly right, Laura. We like when you get a listing before it even goes on the market, on the MLS and into escrow, we pull the title, because it's going to give us the roadmap that we need to adhere to achieve clear title. So whether it's nice and easy and maybe the taxes are current, maybe there's a first deed of trust or mortgage, and maybe a second, very vanilla, basic stuff that's easily handled in the course of the transaction. But we might discover like a child support lien or something having to do with the courts, which adds a significant amount of time to the remedy, to fixing that and removing it from title. So it's a good idea to get out in front of it. Mechanics liens, things that the seller thought, even erroneously, the seller might have thought were dead and buried.
We're gone a long time ago. They disappear.
Yeah, I mean, I know Haylie has a fun story about like some of the things that she uncovered when she was on the unit, but it's a really good idea to get out in front of it. Take it away, Haylie.
Yeah, I mean, really, typically title is you're just picking up the property and you're looking at all the squiggly lines under that rock and you're seeing all that stuff on there. So we're just reporting to you everything that is recorded on the property. So, you know, there's been CC&Rs that I have seen, and I'm sure you're super familiar with CC&Rs that go back all the way till the 20s, 1920s.
Yeah.
And
some of those are really fun to read, actually, if you actually have time to go through them nip by nip. There's some fun stuff in there from like the 1920s that they put in there.
Oh, yeah.
Can and cannot do. Yeah.
It's crazy because it's kind of relevant to what we have going on right now. Like I've seen CC&Rs that talk about certain races and religions, alcohol not being allowed on the property.
Sexism for sure too.
It's and so I've had people call me, buyers, saying, hey, you know, my agent gave me this title report to review and they gave me these CC&Rs and I'm looking over the documentation and I just happened to notice that it says I can't have alcohol on my property. Like, what does this mean? Can I not drink on my house?
Yeah.
And those CC&Rs are not enforceable anymore. The government cannot enforce any kind of CC&R that talks about any kind of discrimination, alcohol, anything like that.
Right.
But fortunately, it was recorded on the property in 1927 that person is long gone. So there's nobody to sign off and release that documentation that they had recorded on the property. So it does remain. It has to stay on the property because that person who put it on there would have to be the one to sign to remove it, and they're gone. So those things are very interesting when those come up. We've seen child support liens come up from, you know, they had a child in 80s and they were getting remarried, but unfortunately they did have a lien come up and they didn't realize that title insurance does pull this, and you can't sell your home with an outstanding child support lien or an outstanding tax lien or an outstanding mechanics lien. So these do have to be reconciled and paid for and released off the property before your new buyers can come in. So we've had support liens. I've been on there and, you know, I received a call from a gentleman saying, this is not my child. How does this come up? I've never had a child. I'm getting married. I'm selling my home. And so we require the title company. We require a statement of information that states date of birth, social security number, past residence, past occupation. And it should be pretty easy to explain because you are doing such an important transaction in somebody's life. We do need that information. We do need to kind of go background look because we are insuring somebody on such an investment and such a large amount of money that we need to do it's just like the banks pulling their information.
Yeah, we have to do our homework. I mean, and that's basically what we're doing is we're doing our homework on the property to make sure that everything is free and clear when they take over the property from that point on.
Correct.
And you guys are basically the best team out there to go through and help us find out, you know, get to the bottom of why is there a child support lien? Why is there a cloud on the tile? Why is, you know, anything that comes up, you know, maybe a past judgment from a creditor, anything that comes up on those reports, you know, what's going on? How do we fix it? What can we do to change it so that we can sell this home? So,
and you know, probate's an unfortunate thing when there's a death on the property and the property wasn't in a will or a trust, and we have no way of knowing who the next heir to that title is. So that's something we have to get documentations from the court once they've gone through the probate court, and that's something we have to work on to make sure we are making sure that that person who is selling the property was the next intended heir on who's supposed to sell. So
absolutely.
Well, one thing I just wanted to highlight, it's imperative that we get the social, you know, when you take your listing and you provide us with the social security, because, you know, it works in reverse too, because like, you know, Ryan Smith or John Smith, a common name like that, even Laura Kelley, you might have liens show up on a house you're selling that aren't your liens.
Yeah.
With the social, we can match up because every lien and every judgment has the social security as an identifying number. We can match up real quick and we can see if it's not our seller or if it is our seller, or et cetera, et cetera. So,
I've seen that many times. The same name, you know, like I said, John Smith or, you know, whatnot, that comes up and you're like, what is this? I don't know what this is. You know, this shouldn't be attached to my property. What is this? So yeah, it's definitely good to get to the bottom of that and get that off the report so that you can move forward and sell the home. And the buyer, of course, has a clear title when purchasing the property.
Yeah.
And it's like Ryan mentioned in the beginning too, it's not like a typical insurance where we're insuring the future and you have to pay for a monthly or you have your bi-yearly payments. You pay for it at the close of escrow. It's a one-time fee and it's a couple $1,000 and you're insuring your lifelong for the time of you being in that home, that you're not going to have anything come up in the future where somebody can knock on your door and say, hey, I own interest in this home. This is my wife and I were married and owned this home 25 years ago and she never deeded me off. Things like that can't come up when you have title insurance. So that's
yeah, because it's Ticor title, or the title insurance company has their head on the chopping block, not the seller, not the listing agent, thank God.
Yes. So it's really important to make sure
it's good to have insurance.
Yeah, always good to have
always good to have insurance.
Yeah. But it definitely, you know, you are working with a great team. We work with Fidelity, so we have an awesome insurance backing behind us. We have really low claim percentages, so your clients are definitely in great hands with Ticor.
Absolutely, as I've known for many years, so that's why we work together. Is there anything else that you want to add about title or about what you've seen lately? I know there's a lot going on in our world today. Is there anything you want to add about the
just that we're available, that they can reach out to you and have access to us by virtue of us being part of your team. We delight in sitting on the phone and going over a conversation like this, or a specific, or getting granular in a property and really identifying where the issue is, or just generic questions. Like, we're available. We're here to help bring clarity to the whole subject of title. And also just, all the ins and outs of escrow and title transactions can get pretty crazy, lots of moving parts, so maybe you can meet the people behind the scenes, and we just want to be available to your customers and here to help.
Right. And on the technical side too of things, with like recording things with the county, timeframes, I think everybody's starting to get newly adjusted. The county's starting to have more workers come in. We have somebody in our scans our documents directly to the county. So we made sure to have our systems implemented right in place as soon as the COVID-19 happened, to make sure that our title transactions were still closing with the county as seamlessly as possible. And timeframes are back up to regular recordings. And so, so on the technical side of transaction wise, that has definitely seamlessly been flowing through this kind of weird time era we're in.
We're resilient though, and we definitely adapt to everything that is handed to us. So we will get through a transaction no matter what comes at us, for sure. Believe me, we've seen a few fun ones. So, but that's great that we can definitely work together and get it done. Do you want to go ahead and give your information out if anybody would like to contact you about any title questions? Or
yeah, you can find us at Ryan.Lipsey.com, or our Facebook business page is Ryan.LipseyTeam.com, and Haylie and I are both there, direct messageable. Our cell phones are all over the place. So, but when you sell your house with Laura, she'll be using us, so that she can give you our contact info as well.
Yep.
Absolutely. And again, I'm Laura Kelley with Keller Williams Realty. My phone number is 619-985-3362. You can also visit my website at LauraSellsSD.com, and we're here happy to help everybody, and just give us a call.
Thank you so much, Laura. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Have a good one.